Hi, and welcome to HUR at Home. Oh my goodness, we are on our road to celebrating 50 years of WHUR. And we're so excited about it that we want to bring the people who have made it what it is today. Of course, you make it everything it is today as well. So, let's just get started. We're going to start with our fearless leader, the general manager of WHUR. He's here with us tonight. I'm surprised because he's usually so behind the scenes, but he wanted to be here with you tonight and with us. Let's welcome Sean Plater. We need an
Hello.
applause. Hi,
You're right. I,
Sean.
I love being behind the scenes.
I'm so glad to see your face. This
No,
face
you
needs to
too.
be seen.
You
And
too, Nas. Glad to be here on this road to 50.
oh my gosh, it's so exciting. And, as I was alluding to, there are a lot of people who have been with WHUR for a very long time. And this was actually your brilliant idea to make this night all about them. So let's get this party started. Oh my gosh, John Blake has been a part of WHUR for as long as I can remember. And he is teamed up tonight with another person who has been with WHUR for a very long time, Bobby Adams. So let's bring them on together. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Double teaming tonight. I love it.
The Caribbean brothers.
The Caribbean brothers. Well, all right. We need a pretty face in here. And she's been with the radio station for a long time. This is my girl. We have been friends for a very long time. I'm not going to say how long, but it's been a long time. We all love her, and we rock with her every Sunday and get our inspiration. Please welcome Jackie Gales Webb.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello. And oh my gosh, okay, so he brings us inspiration in another way every Sunday night, and he's been with WHUR for a very long time. He learned all about the quiet storm the same way I did from the man who created it, Melvin Lindsay. So let's welcome my dear friend, Nancy Pullen.
How's everybody
Hey.
doing?
Really good. Oh my gosh. This is such a party. And, I have to say, on behalf of, there were a couple other people who were invited tonight, but they couldn't make it. Renee Nash sends her apologies, but, she works very hard being the news director and morning anchor on WHUR. So she couldn't make it tonight. And Mr. C, we rock with him every Saturday playing the oldies, and people clean up to him every Saturday and listen to this great music. But he sends his apologies as well. I think those are the only ones that are missing. So, okay, let's get right into this. Tonight is all about telling the stories, sharing the stories of your WHUR journey. Sean, to set this up, did you want to say any words?
I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you to each one of you on here for your years of service to WHUR. And, a lot of folks do things that, that sometimes you see people on the radio, on the things like this on TV, and, you hear them on the radio, but there's so many people that are involved in what makes up the radio station. So just wanted to say thank you to all of you and to all of the staff, current and past, that have ever walked the doors and the halls of WHUR and put their blood, sweat, and tears into making it what it is today. I just made a note about all the different departments. We have a sales department, traffic, business, production, engineering, administrative, digital, news and public affairs, programming, music, multicast, facilities, and of course, interns. So we have a lot of people who make up WHUR and have graced the halls and poured their blood, sweat, and tears into making it what it is today. So just thank you all and appreciate you continuing to be on this road with us and doing what you do each and every week.
I love it. Now, Sean, as I set this up, I was saying these folks have been with the station for so long. You've actually been at the station for a while, and I love your journey. We can talk about that in just a moment. Let's get some history first.
Yeah.
We got the tag team over there. We got the double trouble sitting there together. So all right, who wants to start? Let's start with Bobby. When did you start, and how did that whole thing happen? When did you start with the station?
Well, my journey started with this gentleman next to me right here, John Blake. John started with HUR around 1971 or 72. And I came on board maybe about a few months or maybe a year after that. It's been so long I forgot what time it started. But I came on board because John started the Caribbean Experience at that time, and he needed some help. So I volunteered to help him with the Caribbean Experience. And as a result, I contributed my part by helping him with production, which he taught me production using the needle. I'm sorry, the razor blade and reel to reel. That's right. So and taped, right. So he taught me production, and in turn, I would do the production on his show. And we did that for several years. Until one day he went to Trinidad and he couldn't. I think he assigned someone to do his show, and for some reason that person didn't show up, so I got stuck. And that was my first experience being on air with WHUR. I did the Caribbean Experience show for that 2 weeks that he was away in Trinidad. But later on, I became an intern at HUR. So I started off as a volunteer with John, became an intern, then I was part-time, then I became permanent part-time, and then I became full-time.
Oh, man.
So that was my journey.
Oh, my
We
gosh.
started at HUR in 1972, 73, somewhere in that area. We started off over at in the trailer, right, by the football stadium across from the reservoir. That's where we started. And so it was a long journey. It's a journey that I enjoyed. It's a journey I'm still on. It's a journey that I hope will take me many more years ahead. That it's a journey I don't want to get off. Let's put it that way. I want to stay on this road forever and ever. I want to stay on this road.
Yes.
Lovely road.
was born in the 70s.
Yes.
And John Blake, the Caribbean Experience, goodness, that's, synonymous with the radio station. When you both, I guess, were on the air back in the day, just give us a sense of just how you were feeling, the young John Blake, and how people were responding to you.
Yes, like Bobby said, I started just a few months after the station. I believe the station started in 1971. In 1972, I came on board after graduating from the National Academy of Broadcasting, which in those days was downtown New York Avenue. And, from there I came to the temporary studios that he referred to. And I remember that Bob Nighthawk Terry, the late, was, of course, on the air, and also Tom Jones, those people who started WHUR. So I owe a lot to them. I walked in that temporary studio with some records in my hand, and I believe Tom said, "What you got there?" And so I gave him the records, and he played it. It was some reggae music.
Oh, I love it.
And that's kind of like how it started. And of course, over the years, with the growth, which has been phenomenal, with all the remotes, the fundraisers, and from being live on WHUR, I was put on XM channel, which is where I am right now.
That's fantastic.
I'm just fortunate to have that ability to be on the station over the years. So I thank all those, of course, who are responsible for that.
Oh, it's just beautiful. I mean, it's so funny how WHUR is cutting edge in so many ways. Now people are just getting into Caribbean music and Afro beats and all that stuff. We've been doing it, obviously, as you both just said, since back in the day. People are just now getting on board with that. All right, we can't have Jackie last, so I gotta talk to my girl. Jackie, tell us about how you started at WHUR. Did you come right from WHUR WYCB or?
Well, I'll very quickly give you the backstory to how I got to HUR. I went to college in Boston, Massachusetts, and started working in commercial radio while I was a sophomore at Emerson College. I was at a legendary AM station called WILD, where I played gospel music, and then I went to a legendary hippie radio station. They called it album oriented, called WBCN. And once I left Boston, I came to help start, was one of the first people on the air at a radio station called WYCB, which started out to be positive music. Kathy Hughes was the general manager, and she wanted us to only play positive music because the gangster rap was out then. So this was going to be a new radio station that was going to be positive. So we playing positive music. We've got a message in your music, and ain't no stopping us now, and all that kind of stuff. But we also played some gospel music, and the gospel music outdid the other music in popularity, and WYCB became a 24-hour gospel radio station, if you remember Angela, because Angela had worked there at some point as a salesperson, right? And I left there because I had gone to college. I went from in YCB from being on air to music director to program director. I left as a program director because I wanted to pursue a career in television. I had actually gone to college to study television production. So I was able to get into Channel 9 television after YCB, where I produced for legendary newscasters such as Maureen Bunyan and J.C. Hayward.
Yes.
And while I was there, I discovered that I wanted to do something more, and I went to the Smithsonian and produced documentary radio broadcasts, which became award-winning, thank God. But while I was at the Smithsonian, Patrick Ellis's gospel program at WYCB had become so popular that Jim Watkins and the program director at the time said they wanted to expand the gospel in the morning to also the afternoon, because it was, really bringing in a large audience, which means a lot of money. Right. So they actually called me, and because they remembered my program at WYCB. So I got a call, do you want to do gospel music in the afternoon on WHUR? And I said, of course. So for 30 years, I did Sunday afternoon gospel on 96.3 WHUR. And just recently, within the last 2 years, I'm doing gospel spirit in the place of the legendary Patrick Ellis.
Amen. Beautiful, beautiful. All these stories, we're all learning things about each other. You think you know people. I'm learning things about every last one of you. Manzi, yes. As I alluded to when I introduced you, Melvin Lindsay had a lot to do with your success and your training in doing the Quiet Storm. Talk about that.
Yeah, he did. I actually got interested in radio. It was my senior year in high school. I went to visit my sister, who was in school at Mount Holyoke in Massachusetts doing a radio show. So I had never done radio before, but actually Mount Holyoke had a Quiet Storm, which of course they took from WHUR's original Quiet Storm. So when I came back and came to Howard University my freshman year, I started working at WHBC, our student-run radio station. I was hosting Music for Lovers Only. And as Bobby and John had talked about, we were in Tempo C. WHBC was directly behind WHUR, where the football field was. Right. So we would all camp out. We, being the students, would wait as the program director and the GM would walk back and forth. And that's how we would, try to get to know them and talk to them. And I would always see Jesse Fax, and I would just stand out there every day saying something to him every time he would come by to go on the air. And finally, they got irritated with seeing me all the time and asked me, why don't you just come in the station?
Okay.
Yeah, so just long story. Yeah, so I just went in. I started writing traffic reports for Jesse. And how I got on the air, Rick Montgomery was a student at Hampton at the time and was coming back and forth from Hampton to WHUR on Fridays. Well, one night he couldn't make it. And so Jesse, I guess, got upset and said, well, you're going on the air. I was like, who? He said, you. So I showed up like about 10 o'clock that night. Melvin, of course, was on 7 to midnight doing the Quiet Storm. So I sat in there with Melvin for 2 hours before the show. And Melvin gave me for about 2 hours. He told me everything I ever needed to know for the next 40 years in radio. And I've kept everything he taught me in those 2 hours to this very period that we're sitting here right now. There's so many stories.
It's so beautiful. And that was definitely his generous
Oh,
spirit,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, definitely.
People to this day come up and just talk about how he would take the time and for them. And I remember just being in his presence, and he would do that. In fact, we both would do that. And I said, you know, are you ever intimidated? Because people would come up and say things like, I want your job, you know, no thanks at all. And, you know, he'd sit there and tell them whatever they need to do. And he goes, I don't care, you know, they're never going to be me. So, you know, you might as well help people be the best that they can be.
Well, what was great, Angela, and everybody, when Melvin actually went to WKYS, and that was, again, when I met you and Donnie at the Muhammad Ali event that was happening. And I talked, Melvin gave me, he gave me advice throughout the whole time he was at WKYS with everything, with what I was doing with HUR, what I should do more of, less of. Even though we were competitors, he was, you know, we talked all the time.
Yeah.
You know,
well,
so you're exactly right.
That's exactly. I mean, I love that, because I don't look at people as competitors either. I think there's one Angela Stribling, you're never going to be her. So let me help you be the best you. You know, I think we're supposed to be that as human beings. And those of you who are showing up in the comment section, I just want to thank you and acknowledge you. We haven't forgotten about you. Isabella says hello from Dubai. And we absolutely love you. She always shows up. Tehran, hello everyone. Delphinia says hello from Frederick, Maryland. Love it. Odessa, that's my girl. Tehran, great show. Okay, love it. Now, Sean Plater, our general manager, you know, we've talked about how a lot of you started, you know, early on. Some graduated, you know, did an internship, you know, started off volunteering, Bobby, and then a permanent intern. And Sean, tell us about your background. You actually started as an intern, right?
I did, almost a lot like Manzi. Worked at WHBC, the campus radio station. And actually, when I got to Howard, I knew, probably when I was 15, I knew radio was what I wanted to do. Wow. I got to go to another radio station and sit in the studio and watch a show live. And I just was amazed that you could sit in this room, talk behind this microphone, and everybody in their cars and their homes could hear everything happening inside this room. And honestly, that's still something that amazes me today about what we do and the impact that radio has. So, you know, my freshman year at Howard, I got an internship that summer and did a great internship and wouldn't leave. And so the internship was over and I said, all right, I'll see you tomorrow. And so I interned my whole way through Howard. And my senior year, I was the general manager of the campus radio station and ended up coming over to HUR upon graduation, worked in all different types of roles. I hosted a morning show at one point on HD2, WHUR World. I did production probably after 3 weeks of being there. I filled in for production, working with Bobby Adams for about a year and a half. Did engineering, probably almost every job in the radio station. And it's one of the things that I really appreciate most, because you really understand how it all functions and how each department really needs each other and what they do. And so I've been in all different types of roles at the radio station. I left for a few years, went and got my MBA, and came back as a deputy general manager for about 5 years. And then I've been GM, I guess, for about 2.5, 3 years now.
Yeah, I love that. Well, Jasper wants to say hello.
Hello, Jasper.
He's such a ham. Well, you know what? I love the stories. And, you know, after doing a lot of these, talking with a lot of WHUR family, past and present, there have been some stories that have been shared, you know, things that might have happened even on location, because WHUR has always been involved with the community. And are there any stories that any of you want to share with us, like, that are impactful and maybe unique to WHUR listeners since you've been on the air? Whoever would like to share.
I can share one, because this really had a tremendous impact on me, because I began to realize the power of what we do. I have hosted a lot of programs for the community and at churches. And I remember the very first time this happened to me. It's happened a few times when I was out in the community. This lovely lady came up to me and just hugged me and cried. She just cried because I played a certain song at the right time in her life that helped get her through something.
Oh.
And when that happened, it just really impressed on me the importance of what we do. And so whenever I get discouraged, I think about her, and I think about the many people that write in to, or email in now to the radio station to say, thank you. Thank you for playing that. Thank you for saying that. That type of feedback and love and warmth from people who appreciate what we do empowered me and made me understand that this radio station has meant so much to people throughout the years, throughout the 50 years. Mm-hmm. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
That's beautiful. Anyone else? That's lovely, Jackie. Thank you.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to say, over the years, one of the things that we always enjoyed, the WHUR, a lot of the artists would come to the Quiet Storm and some of our other shows, and they would sit in with us. I go back with nights when Phyllis Hyman would sit in there, when the Whispers would sit in there with me, Smokey Robinson, Barry White. They would sit in for hours and just sit there and talk as I was playing the music, and we would sing, we would have a good time. And the artists really loved WHUR. And you look at somebody like Al Jarreau, who we used to come in and look at the albums in the studio, and we used to just pick up albums. And Al Jarreau was one of the albums that one of the production people picked up, took it home, came back, played it, said, we need to play this. And that's how Al Jarreau really got started with his music being heard. So it's amazing, some of the stories in that music library that went on every Friday when all the announcers would come in and just sit around and listen to music and say, this is what we should play. It was a fun time.
Wow. That just took me there. You know how you're listening to someone talking and you're just imagining that you're there? Right there in the studio with you.
Yes.
That's beautiful. Anyone else? Bobby, I know you've got some stories. You look like you've got a story to tell.
So many. But what I really want to say is that I really enjoyed meeting the folks that worked at WHUR over the years. Guys like Kojo Namde, who moved on to other things. Melvin Lindsay, for example. Bill Christian, Bobby Bennett, the Mighty Borner, the late Bobby Bennett, the Nighthawk, right. Bob Terry, Karen Campbell, Tom Pope. Those days we had a great newsroom. We had a huge newsroom. We had correspondents from all over the world reporting to WHUR, South Africa correspondent, somebody in Latin America, and different places. And these people really touched me. I learned a lot from them, even though I was not in the news department. I was in production. But I really enjoyed working with these people. They inspired me a whole lot. Even Renee Nash, she's been here a while. Whereas Patrick Ellis, of course, and this man next to me, Mr. John Blake. Of course, Jim Watkins. When I came here, he was the chief engineer, I think it was. Right. In those days, we had to be certified by the FCC in order to run the board. And he was the one who administered my test and so on. So I'm really grateful to those people before me. And they inspired me a whole lot, as I said. There's a story about Bob Terry. I don't want to, maybe I should mention it. But it was very funny at the time. I'm going to say it anyway. What the heck? When he got fired here one night, he said, I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. And he came, they got him out of here. Security came, he was sitting right here in the same room.
Oh my.
It was the main studio in those days. They got him out. But the kicker was the person who replaced him that night on the board. He opened the microphone and he gave a blow-by-blow account of what just took place. And within minutes, he was out of here also.
They got rid of him too.
He was out. That one stood out. I remember that one clearly.
This sounds like a movie.
Wow. Well, I have a funny story, not as funny as that one. But before COVID-19, I work Monday through Friday during the day. When gospel artists would come through town during the week, I would say, well, meet me at the station during lunchtime and I'll do an interview that I can play back. So I would, secure studio time at WHUR and then go to the studio, meet the artist and do the interview and then play it back on Sunday or whenever. So this one time I made the appointment. I came to WHUR during lunchtime and nobody showed up. So I called the artist. The artist was Todd Delaney, a new gospel artist. And he said, well, I'm here. And I said, well, no, you're not. And I said, where are you? He said, I'm in Fort Washington. I said, where in Fort Washington did they bring you? And he gave my home address. They had brought him to my house.
No.
I'm in HUR in DC. And so he says, this is your house? I said, yeah, but I'm in DC. Well, he said, well, nice house.
Funny. Oh my gosh. That is funny. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Sean, you got any funny? I know you've got some stories, Sean.
I've got stories. Some of them I will not tell, but I'll go back to what Jackie was saying a few moments ago about just the impact, and I think that's something that's always stuck with me. And a couple of things to that. One of the things I loved about Patrick is that when you came in, it didn't matter who you were. Patrick was going to give you the WHUR history and almost baptize you in HUR to make sure you understood, what you had just gotten yourself into. It's like almost being hazed. You are now a part of this, and you need to understand the importance of it. And I think we constantly are reminded about why we do what we do, and that we do this for the listeners and for the community. That's really what it's about. We break a lot of radio rules that you won't. I mean, we've had consultants come in and why would you stop a music station to do talk? Why would you do a 30-minute daily drum talk show? Who does that? And if you're an R&B station, well, why are you playing gospel? That doesn't make any sense. And no, it's because we're WHUR. This is what we do. And I think back to just recently, last year when the George Floyd situation happened, and people were just angry, just mad and wanted to really be able to voice how they felt, and at that point we really had to turn the radio station, to a place to just really sound off, and we created this line where people were just able to call and you could feel the emotion through the phone lines. And so we went from being a radio station that played your favorite music to now being the ear for you to, share how you really feel and what's going on, and still educating you with what you're doing. So the mission of what we do is just so impactful and so special. And I'm grateful to be a part of WHUR and what we do every day. I mean, it really is unique and special. It really deserves to continue to be celebrated today through 50 and so much more, because it really has touched. I mean, this is decades. You've got generations of people that are, listening to this radio station. And then how about this? Just today, WHUR in the ratings is the #1 music radio station in Washington, D.C. So The legend continues. The legend
All
continues.
right now. It
The
truly
legend.
sounds like Washington.
That's right. That's right.
You know, and what's so good about being in 2021, no matter where you are, if people leave here, retire and go away or move away, they can always hear WHUR no matter where they are.
Yeah.
And they
It's a
do.
beautiful thing.
A lot of people on this thread. Isabella is on with us every week, and she streams WHUR in Dubai. I mean, and we follow each other on Twitter. She'll say, you know, listening to Pillow Talk from Dubai, listening to The Quiet Storm, listening to, you know, she'll in real time, in her time, she will let us know that she is listening. And there are a lot of loyal listeners who are around the country and, as I just said, around the world who they don't stop.
Yeah.
So congratulations, family. To echo what Sean said, I'm so honored to be a part of the WHUR family and legacy for many years. And it's an honor and a privilege to have the listeners that we have. And they are unique. They are unique, and we absolutely love you.
I'd like to, if you don't mind, hear from Bobby and John, because I think they were here when WHUR was, what did they call it, 360 degrees?
Yes.
What was that like? Because they might be some
360
people
degree
that don't
experience.
know that.
Yes, indeed. You know, it's been a journey. Sometimes when I look at it, it's more than a journey. It's a blessing to be a part of this radio station. And of course, I thank all those responsible, like Sean and others, for keeping the Caribbean Experience on the air. Because I know, you know, normally there are challenges and you have to make decisions of what goes and what stays. And over all these years, I have been blessed to be a part of WHUR, and that I don't take lightly, you know, and I'm always meeting people in the listening audience, you know, of generations, I guess, who would thank us for what we do. So it goes a long way.
And I think part of the 360-degree experience at WHUR was that WHUR in those days, we played everything. We played some jazz, we had talk, we had the latest, we even had, like, I remember Robin Holden. I don't know if you remember her.
She was on.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. She did a show in which she would play the latest album that came out. We actually broke many songs on the radio at that time, and we still do. But that was part of the 360-degree experience right here at WHUR.
Angela, Pat Gillis told me that he had a cooking show during that time period. Can you believe that?
Yes, yes, he did.
Oh, wait, who had the cooking show?
Patrick Ellis.
Oh, I love it. That's a good idea. I mean, you know,
Who would have knew?
back here doing it and describing. I mean, yeah. And thinking of Patrick, who better? Because he could use his words and paint all kinds of pictures. So I could just imagine listening to Patrick Ellis doing a cooking show and describe every step of the way and what it looks like, what it tastes like. I love it.
Trust me, his cooking was delicious because I was invited to his home, myself and John Blake, and we had, in fact, he came out from Barbados and he brought some flying fish from Barbados.
Oh my God.
He prepared that fish for us with rice and peas.
Oh man.
We had a tremendous meal that Sunday. Yes, I remember that.
And he was always interested in learning about Caribbean recipes. So I would go over to his house and show him how to make pilau, you know. And, you know, he enjoyed cooking.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Beautiful. Pilau.
That's Trinidad's rice and peas.
Okay. I know the rice and peas.
Let me
That's why
turn the table on you, Angela. When did you come to HUR? What's your
There
HUR?
you go, Jackie.
Thank you for asking. So I actually started with WHUR a very long time ago doing imaging, just doing voiceovers. I mean, this was straight out of college. And, you know, it was a call I got from Jesse Fax to, you know, he had heard me do something on an AM station. The very first station I worked on was WOL.
Mhm.
And he liked my voice and said, "Hey, we want you to do the imaging for WHUR." And that was when my whole voiceover career was really taken off. And I've been doing voiceovers clearly for a very long time. And so I started doing the imaging, and then, that's it. And then when Bobby Bennett came to WHUR, he hired me in, I think it was 1991. And I was doing a Saturday show. And, I did it for a couple of years, and then I just got really busy with BET and all that stuff. And I left and then came back in 2009. Jim was trying to find me, track me down to do the voiceovers for The Quiet Storm. But it was just so funny because when he finally reached me, he's like, "What took you so long to call me back?" I'm like, "What? I never heard anything." I don't know who he was calling, but someone, I guess, claimed that they knew me and didn't have the right information. I was so happy to be back with WHUR. So Jim called. Yeah, that was 2009. And I started doing the imaging, and then, started doing sitting in for people, and then started doing The Quiet Storm, and then started doing Pillow Talk with Angela.
Wow.
Here we are.
I have to correct my story because I said it was Jim Watkins and some program director that called me. It was Jim Watkins and Bobby Bennett. How could I forget that?
Bobby Bennett. Okay.
Roberta.
Yeah. I love this. I love this conversation, and I could talk to you guys all night. But I know I promised you 30 minutes. We're already 37 minutes. So, I just want to thank you so much. And one by one, if there's anything you want to say and to promote your show, or just anything you want to say to our listeners, you've got the floor. And we're going to save our general manager for last this time, since he started first. And let's start with Manzi Pullen, since I brought you on last.
Thank you so much, Angela. I just want to thank the listeners for 40 years and everybody at WHUR, from our management to all of our employees. It's been a great 40 years. So hopefully you can still join me on Sunday nights, 7 to midnight, for the original Quiet Storm.
Well said. So well said. All right, Jackie Gales Webb.
Thank you so much, Angela, Sean, Bobby, Manzi, John, and everyone in the chat, and everyone who listens to 96.3 WHUR. I pray that you tune in every Sunday from 5 a.m. with Winston Cheney to 8 a.m. with me and Gospel Spirit, and all of the wonderful Rankin Chapel broadcast and the President's program, and Anthony Brown in the afternoon, the whole big Sunday gospel lineup for you that I am so happy and honored that Sean and the management of WHUR expanded the gospel programming for all of us. It's very, very important. And I want to thank you so, so much for the love that you have shown for what it is that we do. I really don't consider myself a personality. I really look at myself as a curator of God's music, the beautiful gospel music that has been given to us, that we can experience and get closer to God. So thank you so much for allowing me to be at WHUR for over 30 years, and congratulations to everybody who has contributed to the 50 years of this great radio station.
Wow. How beautiful is that? Thank you, Jackie. All right, double trouble, Bobby Adams and John Blake.
Go, Bobby.
Okay. I'm not on air, but I must say I'm in production at WHUR, and I'm very grateful for being in this position for over 40 years. I thank the people here at WHUR for giving me this opportunity. And also we thank the listeners for listening to WHUR, and I hope they continue to listen to us for the next 50 years. It's a journey that I enjoyed being on, and it's a journey I hope that it continues for much longer. And I'm gonna turn over to my buddy next to me here, who got me started in radio on this journey. And I thank you very much, man. I really appreciate the things you've done for me.
You're welcome.
And
And now it's your time to return those things to me, because he knows all the engineering aspects that I don't know, you know, all the technology. So he has been a blessing, certainly for me, you know, here at the radio station. I want to thank everyone who has contributed to building up the station to the level that we are now. And I'm glad to hear that we are #1 again. Thank you for that news, Sean. I have no doubt that we will always be at least in the top 3, which has been my experience most of the years that I've been here. The Caribbean Experience is now on the XM channel, and it's Saturdays from 10 p.m. to midnight. For those people who would like to know where we are, that's where we are, on the XM channel of WHUR. And of course, God spares life. We continue to reach the highest we can in the next few years, and we thank you all for listening over the years.
Wow. Love it. Love you guys. All right, Sean Plater.
Wow, I'm just grateful to be a part of this group. I've enjoyed these stories tonight and getting to hear more about everybody's experience at HUR. And you know, at HUR, we really do believe in being a family, and you have family of all different decades and experience that come in that make up the radio station, and it's just such a special place to be. And just like everybody else said, we really do thank you, the listeners, for being a part of the radio station. You're a huge part. We couldn't do what we do without you. So thank you for, 50 years of supporting this radio station and all the things that we do on our different platforms, Sirius XM, HD radio. We've got 6 total radio stations that we operate throughout the daily 24/7, some with students and some, doing all types of things. We've got a 24/7 Quiet Storm station that runs here in DC on HD2 and also 98.3 FM. So a lot of great things going on, and just please stay tuned. We've got a lot of great things as we continue the road to 50. A big event next week. We're going to be unveiling a mural down at Ben's Chili Bowl. Ben's has the big wall with all the celebrities on it. Well, now there's going to be a WHUR mural right there at the Ben's wall, and you'll get to see some of the many faces that have made up WHUR over the 50 years. So stay tuned to the radio station. More great things to come. And again, thank you all for making us 50 strong.
Oh my goodness. All right, everybody, come on back in so we could say goodbye together. We even got a congratulations, WHUR, from the beautiful Erica Plater. Thank you all for all of your comments, everyone who took the time to join our conversation and comment in the comment section. Oh, Jesse Plater. All the Platers are in the house tonight. I love that support.
I paid my family to come on and join and be a part now. I'm playing.
Representing.
Can I do a quick plug again? Can I just one more quick plug?
Yeah, of course.
Home Inspiration, Sunday evenings at 6.
There you go. Every Sunday evening at 6, and Jackie really brings it. I love all the guests that you have on. I love our WHUR family. So on behalf of everyone who joined us tonight, this is really a great group. I mean, I learned so much about each and every one of you that I didn't even know. I guess we learned things about each other. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Have a great night, everyone. Continue to listen to your favorite radio station. Thank you for making us #1, actually keeping us #1. 96.3 WHUR. Have a good night, everybody.
Yes.